Good evening, everyone, and this is your channel BioPoint Neet, stream the world of bio for Neet 2021-2022. So here we are coming out with yet another brand new session on the chapter Neural Control and Coordination with the remaining topic, that is human sense organs are the two topics that we need over there in the chapter in the last topic. So you have about the skin, tongue, nose, everything in a small manner, but we don't have such time to go into detail about it. We'll study about it when we go to the higher classes. So this is our lecture number 5. This is our amazing Telegram group at BioPointNew where regular discussion, polls, quizzes, and updates on our classes, OMR examination, everything will be conducted. So don't forget to like, share, subscribe our wonderful channel of BioPoint Stream, the world of bio, and don't forget to share it with your friends. So today's topic, starting with sense organ number 1, eye. Okay, so before that, let's have a look at a glance at the entire sense organ. What do you mean by sense organs? Sense organs are the organs that dictate changes in the environment and convey information to the central nervous system. These are the organs that detect the changes in the environment and they convey this information to the central nervous system. Mainly we have 5 sense organ. That is eyes, ear, nose, tongue and skin. So these are the sensory receptor. Okay, these are the sensory organ, or they contain sensory receptor for what? Sense the things happening around the environment or around us. So eye, ear, nose, tongue and skin. And first we are going to discuss about the wonderful organ, the fascinating organ, human eye. So we have two eyes located in the socket of the skull, which is called the orbit. Okay, this is how our skull, okay, in the skull you have an orbit. So in the orbits you would have the eye. Eye is situated in the orbit of the skull. The adult human eyeball is spherical in shape. And the most important question, MCQ question for previous years, eyeball has mainly 3 layers, that is sclera, choroid and the retina. Sclera, choroid and retina are the 3 main parts of the eye. So look at, it is covered by, this is a thin layer, and this thin layer you will call it as what? Conjunctiva. The thin layer you will call it as conjunctiva, and the inflammation of conjunctiva will be called it as the conjunctivitis. And then you have 3 main layers, that is the outermost layer sclera, the inner layer that is a choroid, the middle layer choroid, and the innermost layer you have the retina. So optic means something which is related to light, that is in case of humans something related with our eye. So optic nerve is a kind of nerve that transmits the impulse from the eye to the central nervous system. Then you have an aqueous chamber. That is, aqueous chamber is a fluid filled cavity which is present between the lens and the cornea. What do you mean by cornea? Cornea is the bulged portion of the sclera. The sclera gets bulged out to form the cornea. So the fluid filled space between sclera and, that is the cornea, and the lens, you will call it as the aqueous humor. And the space between lens and retina you will call it as what? Vitreous humor. Larger cavity as compared to aqueous humor. Both are fluid filled. One is a watery fluid, one is a jelly fluid. That will explain. Then you have the iris. The iris and the lens is being held on its special position by the ciliary body and one more structure, that is the suspensory ligaments. Ciliary body and the suspensory ligaments. So both these structures helps in the attachment of the lens. Suppose this is the ciliary body, you suppose, and here also you have the ciliary body. So the lens is supported like this inside the ciliary body and suspensory ligament. This is the lens. Clear? So the eye has mainly three layers, that is sclera, choroid and retina. First, discussing about the outer layer. So, sclera refers to as the outer layer of the eyeball. So, it is the external layer. Sclera is the external layer which is formed by dense connective tissue. MCQ question. Guys, are you getting? Give me thumbs up on the chat box then. Everyone, like, thumbs up on the chat box. If you're clear up to here about the three different layers, if you have any doubt, just text me in Telegram. Okay. So the anterior transparent portion of the sclera, you will call it as the cornea. So cornea is a small opening. Look, cornea is the bulged portion. So the cornea is the portion through which the light is going to enter into our eye. So this is the outermost layer is the sclera and cornea is the bulged portion, the transparent portion, anterior transparent portion of the sclera. The second layer, that is choroid. What is choroid? Choroid is a bluish middle layer. Choroid is the bluish middle layer which is located inner to that of sclera. So this is sclera, and inner to sclera you will have the choroid. So what is the importance of choroid? Choroid is actually a vascularized part. Vascularized. What do you mean by vascularized? They are highly supplied with blood vessel. They are supplied with nerves and blood vessel. When we look into eyes, you would see blood vessels, nerves, everything. Because what? The choroid layer is present. The choroid layer is highly vascularized. That is, it contains many blood vessels and nerves. It is a thin over posterior two-third of the eyeball, but it is thick in the anterior part to form the particular structure called ciliary body. So the choroid get extended. Okay, the choroid get extended. We studied that the sclera got bulged out to form the cornea, and here the choroid got extends to have the ciliary body, which helps in the occupying the lens in the correct position. The ciliary body continues forward to form a visible, pigmented, opaque portion which is called the iris. Look, guys, the colored portion of the eye is called the iris. The colored portion of the eye is called the iris. The iris has a central opening which is called the pupil. Previous year MCQs. The diameter of the pupil, what is the function of iris? The diameter of the pupil when the light enters into our eye is regulated by the muscle fibers of the iris. The iris will contract and relaxes to maintain the diameter of the pupil in order to adjust the amount of light falling into our eye. Then inside our eyes we have a crystalline lens. So inside our eyes we have a crystalline lens also, which is held in its position by the suspensory ligaments which is attached to the ciliary body. Look, guys, this is the lens. It is held in its position by the ciliary muscles, that is the ciliary muscles and the suspensory ligaments. Ciliary muscles and the suspensory ligament. The colored portion of the eye you will call it as the iris, and the small opening in front in the iris you will call it as the pupil. The cornea is the extended portion of the sclera through which light is going to enter. The lens is held in its position by the suspensory ligaments and the ciliary muscles. The innermost structure you will call it as the retina. So the retina is the innermost layer. Retina is the inner layer of the eyeball. You have retina as the inner layer. Important thing is the retina. Okay, retina helps in the formation of image. So it consists of mainly 3 layers of cells. So retina mainly consists of 3 layers of cells. That is, first we are going to study from inner to outside region. Inner region to outside region, you have the ganglion cells, bipolar cells, photoreceptor cell. Previous year Neet AIMS MCQ question. They will give you these 3 terms and ask you to arrange the ganglion cells, bipolar cells and the photoreceptor cells from outer to inner side, inner to outer side. Depending upon the question, your answer should also change. So the retina consists of 3 main layers, that is the ganglion cell, bipolar cell and the photoreceptor layer of cells. That is, this is the order from inner to outer side. If you are checking from outer to inner side, you will have the photoreceptor, then bipolar cells, and to the inward side only you will have the ganglion. Yes, photoreceptor cells are the outer layer of cells. So they are of two types, rods and cones. They contains a photosensitive proteins called photopigments. Photoreceptor helps in the detection of color, detection of light, detection of an object, etc. We are able to see a black object. We are able to see an object. You are able to see the screen. All is because of the functioning of the photopigments. So mainly we have two photoreceptor, that is the rod cells and the cone cells. They contain a photosensitive pigment which is called the photopigments. Then in each thing you have to study, photopigments are formed of opsin, which is a protein, and retinol, which is an aldehyde of vitamin A. Retinal, you might have studied in organic chemistry. All stands for alcohol. Al stands for aldehyde. Right? So OH group alcohol, CHO group is the aldehyde group. So the photopigments consist of an opsin, which is a protein, and retinol, which is an aldehyde of vitamin A. So we are going to study about the two different kinds of photoreceptor. First one is the cone cells. What do you mean by cone cell? So this is the diagram of the cone cell and this is the diagram of the rod cell. They are mentioned very clearly in the diagram itself. Rod cells helps in the night vision. Rod cells are the photoreceptor which helps in the night vision. Cone cells are the photoreceptor which helps in the day vision. Or you could say that cone cells helps in the color vision and rod cells helps in the night or the dark vision. Okay, dark vision and color vision. So the cone cells, the function is daylight or phototopic vision and the color vision brought about by the changes happening in the cone cells. There are three types of cone cells containing photopigments that responds to red light, green light and the blue light. So there are mainly three types of cone cells which respond to different photopigments like red, green, blue, etc. The sensation of the different colors are produced by the combination of these cones and their photopigments. So the sensation of the different colors are produced by the combination of these cones and their photopigments. When cones are stimulated equally, a sensation of white light is produced. Just imagine the condition when you look at the sun emits all the sunlight contains all the colors, right? Vibgyor colors. But when you look directly at the sun, you will see only white light because all these colors will merge together to have a sensation of a white color only. Next is the rod. So one point I forgot to tell over here. The cone cells contains a particular type of photopigments called iodopsin. And note it down. Okay, cone cell iodopsin helps in the color vision. Then you have the rod cell. Rod cell helps in the dark vision or the night vision. It functions as twilight or scotopic vision. Scotopic vision or the twilight vision is done by the rod cells. Are you all getting the points clearly? Give me hearts on the screen then. Yes, they contain a purplish red protein which is called the rhodopsin, which is also known as visual purple, which contains a derivative of vitamin A. Each and every point is very important. Rod cells, rhodopsin pigment, which is also known as visual purple, and the cone cells, iodopsin pigments, which helps in the daylight vision. The night blindness is a particular disease which is caused due to the deficiency of vitamin A, night blindness. Due to the deficiency of carrot, you would say night blindness. Okay, it is a deficiency disease disorder. Next, at the region slightly above the posterior pole of the eyeball, you would see what? An optic nerves. I already told you optic relates with light, and in the human body it relates with the eye. In the ear we would study about another kind of a nerve, that is auditory nerve. What do you mean by auditory? Auditory means hearing. So auditory nerve are the nerves which are concerned with the ears. So they leave the eye and the retinal blood vessels enter it. Here the photoreceptor cells are absent, and that particular region you will call it as the blind spot. When the photoreceptor cells are not present, then no images are formed. So the question may come. So a question may come for your MCQ test, that is, name the region of the human eye in which no images are formed. Where no images are formed, it is the blind spot. It is the blind spot. And why? Because the optic nerve takes away all the impulses and is about to leave the eye in the blind spot region. Okay, the photoreceptor cells, both rods and cones, are absent over here. So the blind spot, you will call it as scotoma scientifically, but for your 11th grade, you have blind spot. That's enough. Place where optic nerve gets left. Then inside the eye, you would have an area where you get the maximum focused image. The brightest image is obtained on one area of the eye. Where you are obtaining the brightest area of vision, that is the yellow spot. You might have studied in your 10th standard. So lateral to the blind spot, there is a yellowish pigmented spot, which is the macula lutea, or the yellow spot, or fovea centralis. Three terms are there. First one, macula lutea, or you can call it as yellow spot, or you can call it as fovea centralis. The fovea centralis, or the fovea, is a thin out portion of the retina where only cone cells are densely packed. It is a point of the greatest visual activity, and there is the, when the light, if the light falls on the retina, you will get the yellow spot of the retina, you will get the brightest or the sharpest image. Okay, both rod cells and cone cells are present, but the concentration of cone cells is higher because it is high densely packed inside the yellow spot. In the blind spot, you will have no kind of photoreceptor. Even you will not find rods or either the cones also you will not find over here. Next, I told you the two fluid-filled cavities inside the stomach, not stomach, okay, sorry. Two fluid-filled cavity, really sorry, okay. The fluid-filled cavities inside the eye, you will call it as what? Aqueous chamber and the vitreous chamber. Humor, in human health and disease chapter, I told you humor means it is actually a fluid. Humor means a fluid. Blood is a fluid. Lymph is a fluid. So the space between cornea and the lens is called the aqueous humor. Guys, very small portion in the NCERT. So please just today itself after the class try to read it, or right now when I'm teaching just try to cover it along with me. It contains aqueous humor, which is a thin watery fluid. So you have to identify what is the difference between aqueous chamber and vitreous chamber. Aqueous chamber is a watery filled liquid. Watery liquid is filled, aqueous humor. Inside the aqueous chamber, that chamber you will call it as aqueous chamber, and the fluid inside it is a watery fluid, which you will call it as the aqueous humor. The fluid between the lens and the retina, you will call it as a vitreous humor, which is filled inside the vitreous chamber. And actually the vitreous humor, it is actually a transparent gel. It is a transparent gel. Very important question for mainly for CBSE and state board or ISC board exams also. Guys, for your 11th standard exam, you have to expect a 5-mark question. For Neet, we don't have to get it written, right? They will give you and will ask you to arrange it in the correct sequence. Repeated previous year AIPMT question. AIPMT question practitioners, they like all these sentence-based question a lot. If you take out an entire question paper of a previous year AIPMT, you will see that most of the question, there is no one-word question actually. Most of the question will be statement question. Which of the following is wrong? Which of the following is correct? Or they will give you which of the following statement is incorrect? Which of the following statements are correct? Like this, it depends. Okay, so the mechanism of vision of light we are going to study in detail. So I hope someone would write the entire mechanism like a table in one of your notebook and share it in our Telegram group. Anybody can do that because it helps us to, so that you can paste it in your NCRT also. First point, the light reflected from an object. You have to see this object. Then the light has to hit that object and has to come into our eyes. So the light has to be reflected by that object. It enters the eye through the cornea and the lens. So the light enters inside our eye through the cornea and the lens. Then the light is passed on to the retina. The light is passed on to the retina. What happens in the retina? Dissociation of the pigments, photopigments, retinal from opsin takes place. The dissociation means breaking down of the retinal pigment from opsin, which is a protein, takes place. And you will see that there is a change in the membrane permeability, which is a membrane. Cornea is one of the membrane over there, which allows the light to enter inside our eyes. So changes in the membrane permeability takes place. This change generates a potential difference by which it is a stimulus, right? So it creates an impulse in the photoreceptor cells such as the rods and the cones. So these action potential in the ganglion are passed through the second type of cell, which is the bipolar cell. Bipolar cell, which is present inside the retina itself. So the impulses are transmitted by the optic nerve. That is a function of the optic nerve, right? They have to transmit the impulses coming inside the eye to the central nervous system or the visual cortex of the brain. The impulses there are analyzed and the image is recognized based on memory and experience, finally leading to formation of an image inside the yellow spot or the retina of the eye. Clear? So light reflected from that object, light enters the eye through the cornea and the lens, focused on the retina, dissociation of the retinal from the opsin, membrane potential, membrane permeability changes, which leads to difference in the potential difference of the photoreceptor cells, that is the rods and the cones, and it generates action potential, which is carried out by the next layer of cells, that is the bipolar cells. Finally, they are transmitted into the optic nerve to the visual cortex of the brain. Finally, the impulses are analyzed and are pumped back into the eye for having a vision. So that is all about the human eye. So we have how much? This much slides more. So I hope, once again, let me check how many we have completed. So I hope from this slide, from here, we will take a next class. Okay, from here onwards, we will continue in the next class. Okay, so one more session will be required. One more session which will be sharp tomorrow itself. So don't forget to watch this, read out your NCRT. We have about the 3 years. The 3 parts of the years we have to study in detail. The mechanism of hearing also very important. Then the tongue, skin and the nose. Clear? So thank you guys. See you in the next class with supremely amazing session on the organ of hearing, that is the ear. And don't forget, tomorrow also you will have the day 2 crash course. Crash course day 2. Aim at 100K. I'll be coming out with the questions from the chapter biological classification. I'll inform the timing in the group. Okay. Timing will be between 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. In between, you will have the session. Okay. Anyway, we will not be missing this day 2. Day 2, definitely we would be there. So before that, you have to tell me on the Telegram group. This is a homework for you. You have to tell me on the Telegram group, how many MCQs you have completed this day? How many MCQs? Minimum 102. Or have you completed 100? So I should get the answer for this question. So bye-bye guys. See you.